Hello, Washington football family, and welcome to a post-game, post-victory edition of the Washington Wrap. My name is Chad Ryan, and if this is the first time you're tuning into this new format of the Washington Wrap, this is a 10-minute single-issue show where each episode we start a countdown timer, and we have only 10 minutes to wrap up whatever that topic is for that episode. This week's episode, or today's episode, is obviously to talk about that win against the New York Giants last night on Thursday Night Football, where the Washington football team came away by the skin of their teeth, 30-29, with a literally after the siren Dustin Hopkins field goal to win. An amazing game led by Taylor Heinicke on the offense. In fact, several of the Washington football team defensive players said the offense carried them to victory last night. Not what we really thought any of these 2021 games would be like for Washington, where we thought the defense would be what keeps us competitive in games, especially when our starting quarterback got injured very early in game one. But 2021 is a weird season. We roll with the punches. Before we bring in our guests and start the clock, co-hosts, Felix Trammell and Robbie Duncan, I'm going to play a real quick piece of video and audio for you. Last night in the post-game press conference, our own Felix Trammell asked quarterback Taylor Heinicke about that go-ahead touchdown to Ricky Seals-Jones in the back of the end zone. It was a great question and an even better answer. I want to play that real quick because we're going to start there. So I'm going to go to that. When we come back, we'll start the clock.
Taylor, on that touchdown to Ricky Seals-Jones, just explain how you got to that and how you made that throw in that play.
So it was kind of like an all-go situation, and I really wanted to hit Logan out of his break. It was cover two look, but that safety really came down hard. So then I was kind of stuck in the pocket, and I was about to throw it away, and I saw Ricky on a corner, and Ricky probably had, 6-7 inches on the corner. So I'm thinking, hey, let's just give this guy a ball, see if he can catch it. If it's not complete, it's going to be incomplete. So gave him a shot. He made a great catch, got both feet down, made an amazing play. So it was pretty cool for his first catch to be a Washington football team member to be that. So I'm sure that gave him a lot of confidence as well.
Okay. Felix, great question. We're starting the clock 10 minutes, but Robbie, I'm going to start with you. Just in case anyone has missed this, even though you've been putting it all out on Twitter because you're very excited the past day, you played college football with Taylor Heinicke. It was briefly two ships passing in the night, but you know him better than most people who cover this team. Last night, and in fact in every game we've seen him play for Washington, I think one of the key words that sums up Taylor Heinicke and his play is fearless. Like, he is a bit of a gunslinger. We've seen the memes where people are comparing him to Brett Favre and the like. That throw to Ricky Seals-Jones, that's a ballsy throw in that part of the game in that sort of context. Is that what you've come to know from Taylor Heinicke, and how have you seen his development in the short time he's been with Washington since you knew him at the ODU Monarchs?
He's definitely a fearless guy, and that's something that we all really loved about him when we were playing at ODU. He's not I wouldn't label him as a rah-rah guy per se. He always just kind of led our team by his actions and his demeanor. Like last year when Chase Young ran up to him, hyping him up, he said, "That's what I do." That's exactly what he does. It's crazy to me. Yes, he hadn't had these chances beforehand. He got hurt beforehand. But now, since he's been with Washington, all he's done is play pretty darn good football. Look at the stats that he's put up so far. There's some interesting stuff. Like one that was tweeted, he's the first quarterback, I think, in his first three starts to throw for 93 completions. No one other quarterback has done that, according to the one tweet that I saw. It speaks to how he is. He's always calm, cool, collected. He's always willing to let his guys make plays. He will throw that ball deep. He's not just a mobile, short arm quarterback. He will throw that thing deep and give his guys a chance to make a play. And interesting thing, I think Felix, you kind of asked him about it, but that was his third read on that touchdown.
That's what he said. Yeah.
So, that's major. He was going through progression. He could have scrambled there because the first two reads weren't there. So that's amazing to me that he's really kind of running this offense how it should be now. And I think it's making Scott Turner look better than maybe what he is, the play caller.
We'll get to the coaching in a moment, believe me. But we just saw a vision of that touchdown throw to Ricky Seals-Jones, and you can see him go through his progressions. It almost looks like he starts off looking at Ricky Seals-Jones. He goes, no, don't like it, looks back, and then goes back to Ricky Seals-Jones. But in his answer to Felix. He obviously said he was hoping for Logan first. Felix, I don't want to spend too much time hyping up Taylor Heinicke because we know what he is, but is it fair to say, there seems to be a pretty large disconnect, whether or not it's a reality or perception, between Taylor Heinicke in practice and Taylor Heinicke in games? Because, there's a reason he bounced around between so many franchises in the NFL. He ended up in the XFL as a backup quarterback literally just a year ago. And yet every time we've seen him take the field for Washington in the NFL, he's bringing the heat. Is there, you sort of think this doesn't exist in the modern NFL, but is it possible he's one of these guys who is just better when it actually matters, and in practice you might not see a really sharp and focused quarterback, but when he crosses those white lines on game day, he just takes it up a notch?
Well, there's always the old adage of practice players and ball players and game players, and Heinicke definitely fits the definition of a ball player, game player. He just makes plays. In training camp, his biggest issue was he threw the ball high. And you still see that. You see on throws where he throws the ball high. His mechanics get a little flawed. He's off his back foot, which makes the ball sail. But in a game, he's very calm. He's not ever rushed. And what was most impressive last night, and Robbie touched on it, is he defeated that team from the pocket. Everyone knew Heinicke could move, and his mobility and scrambling and off-schedule plays. He beat the Giants from the pocket. And I think that's more impressive than scrambling around, because that'll be there. That's instinct. That's natural ability. That will come when you need it. But to stand in the pocket against a solid defense, the Giants have a solid defense, and to pick them apart from the pocket is impressive. So it's just, I asked him about it, just how does it feel in this moment in the NFC East? And he was just like, I just go out there and play ball. And, even just in a division matchup where it was feisty and back and forth and every play mattered, he made all the right plays. So I think that just in the game, he's trusted by his teammates to make a play. He gives his playmakers a chance to make a play, and that's all receivers want. Just give me a chance to catch the ball and I'll make a play. So I think that's just incumbent on him being on the field during the games making plays.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to touch on Antonio. In a 10-minute format, there's only so much we can cover. So I want to touch on Antonio Gibson and the game he played before we start talking about the coaching scheme, which is how I want to end today's episode. Antonio Gibson, quote-unquote, only carried the ball 13 times, but he looked dangerous every time he carried it. He averaged over 5 yards a carry. No touchdowns, which I know a lot of people paid a high price for him in fantasy leagues, and they're probably disappointed in that. But he is dangerous, and I was tweeting last night, he's genuinely a top 10 running back in the NFL, and you could make arguments he's like top 6, top 7, somewhere in there, which is incredible. Robbie, you've seen a lot of running backs. We all have come through this organization in the last 10 years. Is he the best we've had, let's say, since Alfred Morris, who, if it wasn't for RG3, probably could have won Rookie of the Year himself in 2012?
He's definitely the most talented. He's still figuring things out. You can tell, like last week's fumble was, like it's been shown, it was a duo scheme. He should have just taken the ball and just run up the middle and get what he could. Instead, he tried to make a play, bounced it out, and fumbled. But at the same time, he's really just, he's getting by on his talent, and you can see that he's starting to really pick up his vision and run between the tackles really well. And it does look like every time he touches that ball that he's about to break one, and he is relentless in his effort, which is amazing too. So you combine the raw athletic ability that he has with his size, plus that willingness to take each run to the house. It's really fun to watch, and you get the sense that he's going to break it at any point. All
right, about two and a half minutes left, so we've got to be quick here. I want to question about the offensive coaching scheme and the question about the defensive coaching scheme. So, Robbie, I'm going to start with offense, and then Felix will come to you about the defense. Scott Turner's game plan last night: 46 pass attempts versus 17 genuine rush attempts. Taylor Heinicke had a couple of rushes as well, but we're not counting those. Scott Turner calling a pass on that play where Taylor Heinicke threw an interception late in the game. Really an obvious running situation. What are you seeing from Scott Turner? Because there's some concerns, but there's some good signs. Robbie, this is you, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I think he, I don't know. It's not consistent. I feel like it's sometimes you feel like that there's two different people calling the plays to me, like we have a good efficient drive, and then all of a sudden, it kind of just goes out the window, and we decide, oh yeah, let's throw the ball here with 2 minutes left, and instead of running the clock out. So I think that was a very, very costly decision that was luckily saved by a good stop by the defense, forcing a field goal. And then, Taylor in the offense going on that really nice drive after that for the field goal win. But, at the same time, put your guys in better position to be successful. Stop trying to be cute sometimes, just take what you play the game like you're supposed to at that point.
Yeah.
I think it was a great throw necessarily, or a great execution by the whole offense in general. But at the same time, just everybody knows you should run the ball there. And so does the Giants. Hit that, but just run it. Run the clock out.
Yeah. All right. Almost 60 seconds exactly, Felix. Jack Del Rio's defensive scheme frustrated the hell out of me last night. What was it like for you there, in the press box watching at FedEx Field?
It's very vanilla and basic. It's line up in your base and hope your players win. There's a lot of things I would do different. First, I wouldn't have my corner so far off the ball. We are too far off the ball, and teams are going to come back root us to death. I mean, they literally would run 8 yards, put their foot in the ground. The ball's there. There's nothing the corners can do. And it's not the corners being bad. It's just what the defense is called for. Part of that, I think, is he's trying to cover the linebackers. He's really trying to cover up the linebackers so they're not isolated in coverage. So he's going to have to find ways to get more pressure and be more exotic, but still protect the linebackers. And where it's Holcomb covering, or maybe Cameron Curl covering these tight ends and running backs, and not a Bostic or Jamin Davis, who's not quite ready for that yet. So Jack Del Rio has some work to do, but part of that is on the players. We have four number one draft picks on the defensive line. They have to win one-on-one sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's just the NFL. You need to win one-on-ones. You're not skiing the sacks. You're skiing, for certain things, but great players make plays. And we're going to need the rest of the defensive line to step up with Jonathan Allen, who was off to an amazing start. He's by far our best defensive lineman. People are going to have to catch up with Jonathan Allen.
Well, you've blown past 60 seconds there, but we'll allow in a victory podcast. That's totally fine. We didn't get to a couple of topics. Dustin Hopkins, perfect with a big asterisk on that. The stats sheet at the end of the day will record 3 from 3 field goals and 3 extra points made from 3 attempts. But obviously we know he missed the one that came back from a penalty. And the Daniel Jones run that was brought back for a penalty as well. Weird night with the officiating, some blown calls even after reviews and stuff like that. But look, the NFC East is always weird, and even though we think the Giants aren't very good and only winning by 1 point where we definitely got lucky, there's some red flags in that. For the moment, we can enjoy it, and hopefully at the end of the season, we're just chalking this victory up to, sometimes the NFC East is weird. But we've got a long rest now. Remember that, this was a game that we had on a short break. Thursday night football after a Sunday night game in which you lost your starting quarterback. This is kind of an impressive win. Taylor Heinicke didn't take many reps with the ones in the training camp and preseason and offseason and stuff. And because of the short week, we didn't have a lot of practice sessions this week. So really impressive from Taylor Heinicke. And I know, Robbie, you're down at the beach at the moment for your brother Ryan's wedding. And Ryan, if you're listening, shout out to you. Congratulations, mate. But I know today, at the end of the wedding, once the joy of the family occasion sets in, you'll have a couple of celebrations about Taylor Heinicke as well. But Felix Trammell, Robbie Duncan, always a pleasure talking football with you, especially after a Washington football team victory. Folks, you can check out their Twitter handles beneath their names there. You can get Robbie at Robbie Duncan OL and Felix at HDTR and Blessed. You can find the Washington Wrap everywhere. However you're listening to this now, if you prefer to listen to it in a different way or watch it in a different way, you can do that. So if you're watching on YouTube but you want to listen to a podcast, you can do that, or vice versa. We've almost lost Robbie, but he's still with us. Thanks for watching, everyone. We're going to take a couple of days break, obviously, with the team having a long break, but we'll be back early next week for a preview of Week 3. Until then, like, subscribe, comment, share, and let us know your thoughts. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Washington Wrap. We'll see you next time.